nothing but the dog in me.
Why must I chase the cat?
Good evening and welcome to Posse Presents. I hope everyone had a very happy Halloween and a safe one. I hope everybody kept their pets safe and protected, got lots of candy, lots of treats, and are recovering appropriately today. Halloween's one of my favorite holidays. Of course, I had to work, which, was not like the thrill of my lifetime, but it is what it is, and here we are tonight. What I would like to do is talk about one of my more recent experiences. On October 18th, Mission Wolf graced the studio here at Sky 13. I love all of my guests. Every last one of my guests that I've ever had have brought amazing things to the table, so to speak. But to have wolves here in the studio and to get to see how magnificent those creatures are in person was seriously, I would say, the highlight of my show. Kent Weber and Tracy Brooks from Mission Wolf, along with Zeb, Abraham, and Magpie were here. And if you haven't seen the show, I so recommend that you go onto YouTube and check it out, because it was just once in a lifetime. That's all I can say. Mission Wolf, for over 25 years, has been coming east on an annual tour and bringing wolves with them. It's the Ambassador Wolf Tour. And this, sadly, is the last year that they're making an annual event of it. So it made it even more special to get to meet with Kent and Tracy, because they're special, special people. But the wolves that they brought with them this time, like I said, Zeb, Abraham, and Magpie, they're amazing. I mean, that's all I can say. They did a couple of stops in Southington where they did their presentation and people got to actually interact with the wolves, and that's been a part of their program through Wolf Central. Ruth and Kevin are strong supporters of Mission Wolf, and Ruth and Kevin with Wolf Central have put on their program with Mission Wolf, and it's been a success every time. And they've made certain, some stops in New York, some stops in Massachusetts. Like I said, they were here in Connecticut, and it was, it was their last time. So thanks to Ruth and Kevin of Wolf Central, we got Mission Wolf here in the studio. At first, there was a little, did I want to try to go and film their presentation and just show it on the show, or could I get them actually to come here? And thankfully they agreed to come, and it was just a blessing. It really was. Everything worked out really nicely. I have to, of course, thank Kent and Tracy from Mission Wolf, and I have to thank Ruth and Kevin from Wolf Central. I have to thank Steve Mandera, who is the owner of Sky 13, for giving his permission. I have to absolutely thank Nate, who is always there for me, and he was definitely there for me that day. And of course, Zach for making himself available, because needless to say, it's a team effort. I could easily have done a 90-minute show that day. Kent is just fascinating. He's riveting to hear him talk so passionately about the wolves and their plight and, the wolf dog situation. It's really, he's just, I think it was probably the first show I had not much more than maybe 12 words the whole time. He just was that interesting to me. It would have been very, very easy to just 90 minutes easily. But, I want to share with you some of the pictures from that day behind the scenes. I think you'll find them interesting. They are posted on my personal Facebook page in an album. They're posted on the Posse Presents Facebook page in an album. But I know some people don't do Facebook. So Zach, can we bring up the beginning of these pictures and we'll go through them. This is actually the bus that they tour with. Beautiful, beautiful paintings. It's got wolves on either side as well, the missionwolf.com on the back. And they have the wolves in this bus, and this is what they travel with. Mission Wolf is in Colorado, so they don't, they come a long way. So kudos to them for doing that. For the educational purposes, it says education versus extinction, and that is their mission. Let's get the next picture, Zach. Here we are with the bus parked outside the back door. Now, thanks to Nate, I always thought that was a closet back there, but apparently that goes right out to the alley. So, we were able to pull the bus right up to the door, bring them right in without having to come through the building and make it any, more difficult on the wolves. But this is when they had first come in, and you can see we're saying hello. And it's just, they took over the studio. They're huge. And it was a moment. It really was. Let's get the next one, Zach. I mean, there you go. There's 3 wolves in this little studio, and it's incredible. It was just one of those moments where it was like surreal. I mean, the big black one is Zeb, and then the browner one is Abraham, and the silver one is Magpie. And they had the toys set up in the middle of the room with the towel, and like we had a moment where they actually played with the toys. But here they are, just kind of like getting used to everything. I'm saying hello to wolves. I mean, like Abraham for a while there just stood next to me, and as I was talking to Kent, I was just petting him like he was one of my dogs. It was like so awesome. And look at that face on Zeb. He's just amazing. He's the biggest one of the 3. And they're just so cool. It was a day to remember for sure. Let's get the next ones. That's where Kent was trying to show us how the wolves play, and he was kind of challenging Zeb with a toy. And there we are again, leashes everywhere, wolves everywhere. Just incredible. And like I said, Abraham just chilling by my side, and I'm petting him while I'm talking to Kent like it's no big deal. Like, no, it's not a wolf. Nothing out of the ordinary with this one, Keep going. And at one point, Zeb decided that he was going to be king of the hill. He jumped up on the couch, and then he jumped up on the table. And there he stood, and it's really funny because he was so close to one of the cameras that you actually got like the silhouette of his face in front of the camera at one point. And he stood up there for quite a few minutes. He just found himself, his perch, his higher up, his spot to be king of the hill. And you can see just how big he is and how absolutely gorgeous. And I guess from what I understand, the interesting thing is he's going to gray out. They turn gray. So he's not going to be like a black wolf anymore. Let's get the next one, Zach. That was Magpie. She just like totally chill, decided to lay down, crash out. You can see all like the equipment on the sides. She's like wolves from nature with modern technology. It was crazy. But there is Steve Mandera, and he's with Magpie. Again, so many thanks to him for allowing us to do the show. And he had his moment. When we were done with the show, we got like the personal interaction with the wolves. They just kind of like, everybody just, it was like a frenzy. Everybody got on the floor, and the wolves were just checking everybody out. There's our own Zach with Zeb, and all up in his face. And I remember Zach saying he was a little intimidated by the thought of doing a show with wolves, and I told him if that was the case, he could stay in the control room and close the door. Apparently his apprehension lasted all of 32 seconds because he was on the floor and right up in there. And to me, that's the money shot right there. That's Zach with Magpie, and I don't know who's smiling more. but it's a beautiful picture, and what everybody goes for is the kiss. And I believe Zach took his little selfie of of the kiss, which is like real talent, if you ask me. Yep, he's saying he pulled it off. Yep, he did it. But there's Zach's moment right there, which he fortunately was quick enough to catch on camera. And there is my friend Debbie and I, and Debbie is getting her kiss from Magpie. And I was like, actually it was really cool, like they let me hold a leash, and you know, there was, to me that was special, because I don't know who gets to hold a wolf on a leash. I don't know. They obviously a little bit of trust. But there is the screenshot of me getting my kiss from Magpie. She had given me a little one earlier, and she came back and pretty much she meant business. She really cleaned my face. And it was, you know, the thought goes through your head like, holy cow, this is a wolf, and like I've practically got my head in her mouth. But you know, she was just really gentle and really cool. And again, I had Abraham still by my side, and it was really amazing. And thanks to Ruth for getting that screenshot, because clearly I'm an idiot and don't know how to do that off a computer. I just figured out how to do it on my phone. What do we have next, Zach? Oh, no, we're going to go back. We're going to save that one. So, yeah, scroll through these pictures if you would, so we can just see them one more time. I have to give you an aside. It was really funny. There was a young man here in the studio, and he was in the editing room, and he was here just, you know, to work on the show that he did. And next thing you know, there's wolves in the studio. So I can't imagine his surprise. That's definitely not the kind of thing that happens every day. So he got to watch from the control room and got to take a couple pictures. Actually, a couple of those are his pictures. And, you know, it's not an everyday thing, that's for sure. But Mission Wolf, I can't speak highly enough of them. I can't, again, thank them enough. They're a fascinating and wonderful bunch of people. If you want to check them out, Mission Wolf is on Facebook, and you can also reach them through missionwolf.org. Really, and if you have the time, go to YouTube and check out Pound Posse Presents on YouTube and watch that show. To listen to Kent speak it's riveting, and just to see the wolves in motion, you know, I can't watch the show enough, and I know a few people who said that they keep going back to watch it, and that's not a pat on my back, folks. I'm proud of it. For me, it was a one-of-a-kind experience, and I am forever indebted and grateful to everyone who helped make that possible. And you may or may not, if you watch Sky 13 on a regular basis, see the show air again. Don't be confused by that. Not changing my time slot, but there is a station copy, and they will be playing it at will, which is something that I am honored by. So anyway, still on cloud 9 over the wolves, and I probably will be for a really long time. And you know, there's few things in life, I think, that equal being that close to such an amazing creature. And you know, there's a lot to be learned from them. There's a lot to be learned from Mission Wolf. So like I said, if you get the chance, check them out on Facebook, check out their website, follow them, support them for the work that they do. They're amazing. And if you get a chance, watch the show. So that was also the first time that we ever recorded a show in advance. This show is live, but in order to accommodate their schedule, we had to change things up a little bit. So that was a first as well, and it was done on a Thursday afternoon and aired on Saturday. And the Friday after that Thursday, Caesar Milan was at the Palace Theater, and this is my other glory. You know, I know he's controversial. I know that people either love him or hate him, but that's true with everybody. People either love me or hate me and whatever. But, it was an opportunity. I'd seen him last year, went to see him again this year. And, he's a good showman. He is funny. He's entertaining. He drives home his point. And, he makes fun of things, but he does it in a way that he makes sense. Now, I got to hang out with, I'm not quite ready for that yet, Zach. You're spoiling. I got to hang out with two young ladies, one who I know on Facebook and one who turns out that I know from when I was with the shelter. Got to hang out with Nikki and Dawn Majorano, whose family business actually sponsored Caesar's appearance. And so it was really good to meet Nikki, see Dawn again. I knew Dawn from when, like I said, I was with the shelter. She was a huge supporter. So it was kind of nice, to make the contacts again and to meet, like I said, to meet Nikki. And lo and behold, as you can probably imagine, because Zach's a spoiler, as much as I love him, I got to meet Caesar through Dawn and Nikki. They had extra passes to the meet and greet. So they surprised us with that. They're like, oh yeah, here, and you're not going to say no, that's for sure. I am forever grateful to Dawn and Nikki for that. That was a once in a lifetime as well. So, I went from running with the pack to hanging with the pack leader. And there I am with Caesar and Junior. And unfortunately, the lighting there was really dark and couldn't use flash, so the pictures didn't come out the way I would have loved. But I got to hand Caesar both of my business cards, one for the show and one for the column that I write, and got a few good pictures. Zach, we got the next one of Debbie and I with Caesar and Junior, and that was a pretty cool moment too. He was very gracious. He was very nice. You can see the stage all that distance behind us. I'm going to tell you, the line to meet him was all the way around the seating and down to the stage. He had his hands full that night, and he was just wonderful. So it was really a thrill to meet him. And like I said, forever grateful to Dawn and Nikki for making that possible for Debbie and I. And, you would think like after that, the Wolves, Caesar, everything is great, how much better does it get? Well, it got even better. I was flipping through my news feed on Facebook a couple of days later, and yes, I had written for my column a review of the show, because I did, it's what I can do. And so I am flipping through, and you can bring the next picture up, Zach. I see this picture. It's a share from Cesar Millan's actual Facebook page, and that shot is from backstage as Caesar greets the Palace Theater crowd, and it says, pretty much, hey, it was great to be in Waterbury. Thanks everybody for coming out. The Palace Theater was great. But then there's the second paragraph, and it says, for a nice summary of the show, or here's a nice summary of the show from Examiner.com. Well, my heart stopped. I clicked on the link, and Cesar Millan had linked to my review. So, to me, that was huge. And, I don't know who gets that. I don't know what Zach just said, but South Park made fun of him, so he's the real deal. Nice job, Zach. Anyway, for me, it was just a really cool moment to think that his people, if not him, read my review or were aware of it and actually linked to it on their Facebook page. So I had a moment. I'm not gonna lie. I got all teary-eyed. And I was feeling a little full of myself for a moment, but that was the third thing in the streak that streak between the Wolves, meeting him, and getting my article linked. It was pretty cool. So I just wanted to share that. I had 3 days of once in a lifetime type stuff, and feet still not quite touching the ground. But, you know, I am grateful to everybody who was a part of it and who made it happen. And, you know, it's something to live for, you know. Anyway, I will take the camera back for a moment. And I just want to talk for a moment. If you remember, a few weeks ago, maybe a month ago, we had Hounds Healing Heroes on the show. And we had a couple of their dogs with them. And one of them was Meatball. And I have talked about him since. And he was just a little charmer. Sat in my lap through most of the show. And I got to go to an event where he was going to be. And he was my date for the day. You know, it was me and Meatball hanging out at this event, trying to find him a home. And Zach, let's pick up that picture of me and Meatball. This was at the event, and as far as I know, Meatball is still available, so I'm going to give him another plug. He's about probably 9 months old now. Perfect little gentleman. He's a little guy. He's not going to get much bigger. He's going to not take up a lot of room in your house, but he's going to take up all the room in your heart, trust me. He is just a sweetheart. He's a little gentleman. He's a little goofball. He's a lot of fun. He's very affectionate. He likes to play. And he would make anyone a wonderful, wonderful companion. And, you know, again, he's like got that black dog syndrome going on. People overlook the black dogs because, you know, I don't know, there's a stigma. And they're some of the best around. So there's me and Meatball at the event. If you are interested in finding out more about Meatball, you can check out Hounds Healing Heroes on Facebook or at houndshealingheroes.com. Once again, that's houndshealingheroes.com. And I will take the camera back, and I just want to bring up for the last few minutes that November is Adopt a Senior Dog Month or Senior Pet Month. There are so many dogs and cats in shelters with rescues who can be considered senior. There's no reason for them to languish the end of their lives without a home, without love. You know, they're looking for another chance at life and love. And I can't imagine, you know, they don't deserve to be dumped like garbage just because they're old. It's the cycle of life. Everyone's going to get old. And to bail on an animal just because it's older, you know, you see it more and more where there's, you know, the older infirm animals that are just like dumped in front of shelters, left turned loose on the streets. You know, they still have lots of love. They still have lots of life. You know, some have special needs. Some are not as well as they once were. But that's not a reason to abandon them. That's all the more reason to stand by them. You know, just because an animal is older with special needs, it shouldn't mean that they have to die. They have, you know, so much left to give, and they're going to die in a cold shelter with strangers. It's just unthinkable to me that people could be so cold-hearted, you know. Oh, the dog's old, it's not as cute, it needs me more now. Oh, I'll just dump it and get a puppy. You know, this is the mentality, and it's so wrong. You know, animals are not disposable. When you bring an animal into your life, you make a commitment for life. And to just think that you're going to dump it off at a shelter. It's so many stories on Facebook, you know, where these people will walk into a shelter and, you know, be like, here, just kill it. Really? It's, how can you be like that? You know, just because an animal's failing or at the end of its life is no reason to turn it over to a shelter and let it die like that, alone. And like I said, you know, with strangers, it's just, it's really not right. You know, when you've got a senior, yeah, you've got maybe medical issues, you've got maybe a hospice situation, but the love that those animals still have to give, the love that they need, it has no depth, it has no bounds, it's endless. To think that people would turn their back, it kills me. I don't know how you do it. I mean, I have two 12-year-olds. One of them's starting to get a little nutty. I've had 17-year-old dogs, 15-and-a-half-year-old dogs that have grown to that age with me. And I could never, ever think, no matter how frustrated I ever have gotten, and sometimes it can be frustrating to have the dog grow older, or even a cat. Really consider doing the older animals rather than the puppies. I mean, there's nothing wrong with puppies, there's nothing wrong with kittens, but they're a lot more work, and not everybody is cut out for the training and, you know, the steps that you have to take to turn that puppy or kitten into the adult that it should be. You can take a senior or an older animal, and it already knows what it needs to do. They're house trained, they're litter trained, you know, they're slowed down, they don't have the activity level. You know, if you've got a quiet home and you're not a really active person, all they need is a couch or a windowsill, or, you know, just someplace to crash for the rest of their lives, for however long it is. You know, there are people out there, and bless their hearts, that will take in the older animals, but there are too few. And, you know, there are also, like I said, the hospice care situations where they're truly at the end, and it's medically documented that, you know, they're terminal with an illness, or they're just, you know, don't have much longer to go. Those are the homes that I think are the hardest to find, and, you know, usually there's a rescue that would probably help you out in a situation like that. You know, they'll be happy to have that animal and pull it if you will be happy to foster it. You know, you don't even have to necessarily sign on forever. If you just, you know, foster, sometimes at that point it's the same thing, foster or adopt with a short lifespan. It's all one and the same. But at least you have given that animal the love and the respect and the end that it deserves, unlike the owners who threw it out and treated it like it was garbage. You know, again, I can't imagine all of the dogs that I've ever had, all of the cats that I've ever had that have grown into ripe old age have done it with me. And to dump them, I can't imagine. So November, Adopt a Senior Month. Do it, folks. Help them out. They need you more than some of the other animals out there. And I'm going to say goodnight. Until next week. We've got guests coming up the next few weeks. Peace, love, and dogs. Good night, everybody.